Welcome to Grumpy Vegan Grandad, and here we have the vegan school teacher. Is that the correct name for it?
Yeah, vegan teacher.
Vegan teacher on YouTube and otherwise known as Ruth to her friends and family. So Ruth came on my radar a couple of weeks ago because I did a video with my granddaughter and I was trying to teach my granddaughter about veganism. And Ruth reached out to me and she said, I love what you're doing. I love the fact you're trying to teach your granddaughter, who's only 3 years old, about veganism. And I'm actually a teacher of kids that age and upwards. And I'm actually writing a book. So, Ruth.
Yeah, nice to meet you in person.
At last.
Your granddaughter, she's so cute, gorgeous. And she's, she didn't know the answers to those questions, did she?
No.
So you inspired me to make my own video.
I did notice that, and you give me a little mention on there, and that was like, yes, come on, baby.
Yeah, well, it was just, I just love children, and I just feel that there's a lot of education lacking there. And I could feel your pain through the camera. I could feel your pain. She didn't really understand her granddad. She didn't really understand what it was all about.
Yes.
But she loves animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's innocent, and she doesn't realise that the food that she's given is chopped up animals, really.
Exactly.
And it's hard to say that, and we lie to the children. So anyway, I made you a little video, and I hoped you liked it. I suppose on the good side, at least the parents allow her to watch it and allow you to talk that way. I know lots of people who don't necessarily get that.
Well, I haven't actually played it to you yet because we haven't sort of coincided since you did that video. But
yeah, it's only a few days ago.
I am going to film her watching it and see what the result is for you. Mm-hmm. But what I'd like to get to first is the fact that you're writing a book or two. Am I correct?
Yeah, a couple of books actually. One aimed at younger children, and then another.
When you say younger children, can you give me an age range?
A picture book, lots of illustrations. I've done all the paintings myself in there, and the characters. It's
so
all
maybe
about
4 or 5 years old.
Kind of, even the pictures themselves from zero, really, because I'm really passionate about education. I think children should be introduced to books at a very young age anyway. And they're pictures of, animals like cats and a goat, and there's a cow, and it's a really cute little story. But even kids just like flicking and looking at colourful illustrations.
So that's in general.
But more for reading, kind of like the age kind of 4 to kind of 6 range, really. And I'd like them really to be in early years classrooms, receptions, nurseries, even year 1 classrooms.
Are
these
schools, really. Books pushing a vegan message?
That book, no. That book is
Which
very
one?
much the first book for the younger children. It's more about compassion and just being able to empathise with animals and realise that their needs and their feelings are very similar to our own as humans, not as humans. The other book, which I've just came to me, and I've just been I've absorbed a lot of information because I'm a teacher. I'm actually a supply teacher now.
Okay, yeah.
So I've encountered a lot of children who really, they've mentioned that they love animals, or they've mentioned that they'd maybe like to be vegan.
Yes.
And the things that their parents have said to them, I've incorporated those things into the book. And also a few...
Well, give me an example of what the parents have said to them.
So, for example, there was a child, one day we were just... it always happens to come up fluidly in lessons anyway.
Yes.
At some point in the day, it will be mentioned that, I'm vegan, I don't need to do that. And then we'll change the subject.
Okay.
So this time we were talking about World War II and rationing. And one of the children mentioned that... they said that rationing it was a debate, and one of the children mentioned that they think rationing would be a good idea because then less animals would be eaten. And at this point I hadn't said anything, so my inner vegan's going, yes, yes. But because of the society we live in and because of the constraints we have, I'm not able to do that. So I just sat quietly and waited until the question time.
Really? And
brought it up, and I said, well, why do you feel this way? And she said, well, I really, really want to stop eating animals, but my mum said I'm not allowed to because, calcium and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
protein though.
Yeah, and I said, well, I said, I understand that. I said, and your mum sounds like she really cares about you. I'm vegan and my daughter's vegan, and we don't eat any animal products at all. I said, so, feel free just to go and research it. And then I went away from the subject and left it because I'm a little bit concerned about saying too much at school. But stories like that are all in there. And it's from a child's perspective, and it's written from a child's point of view. Kind of aimed at children between the ages of maybe 7 to 12. I've had a friend read it and said even adults would love this book. So that's where I'm up to now, and I'm considering extending the book because the quality that I have in there, I could actually go further. So I'm in a process now where I'm either just going to publish it, or actually I'm really excited about it and I could really develop these stories.
You know something, I've got a couple of points about what you said, right? Now, the first one is totally disconnected, when you mentioned the rationing in World War II. And there is some evidence that in World War II, because of rationing, they found that the instances of heart attack and cardiovascular disease decreased rapidly because obviously people were eating animal products, which is very interesting to start with. And secondly, when you bring out this book now that is pushing a vegan message, and you feel like the vegan message should be pushed into schools,
the way you word the sentence, I'm not going to go along with vegan message being pushed into schools. What I would like to say is, because of my street outreach that I've done and speaking to children who've stopped, very much like the Cube of Truth thing, as we've done a few of those experiences, I always end up chatting to the children who stop, and they feel powerless. They feel like they want to make a change, but they can't, because they have to eat what the parents give them, quite rightly so. So I want to give a message of empowering children so that they feel that, I can do this, and this is something achievable, and I can do it in the right way.
Okay,
so more feeling of power and support that they're able to achieve.
Okay, so I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but
just because I know how people construe and people mix up what you say.
And I just want to digress a little bit and go down to the Birmingham school where they introduced books about the gay rights, the LGBT community, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of parents protested outside, and they said they didn't want the children being taught this because a small minority of Muslims don't appreciate the fact that gay people have any rights, which is totally wrong. And I don't know where they get it from. However, do you think you're going to get a similar reaction from parents when you try and say to their kids, we're quite happy eating the bacon though, and all the eggs and all the garbage that they're introduced to children? You're going to get a lot of backlash. Now, what's your plan to counteract this? What do you think is going to be the reaction if you try and introduce, how I've learned off, school teacher. If I say anything wrong, I'll get lines or detention. I can see it coming. Like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, I know how to do lines
quick.
I just take loads of pens together and I can do about 10 lines at once. So yeah, as you can see, there could be a backlash. So what is, first of all, do you think there could be a backlash?
So I'm going to digress myself a little bit there, because obviously there's the Muslims in that case, but also there's a lot of people that feel that way too, but it's not the right way of thinking. In this country, it's okay to be gay. It's absolutely fine.
Yes.
We've got same-sex marriages. They can even adopt children now, and quite rightly so. And whenever you try to make a change, there's always going to be resistance.
Of course
if you think all the way back to when in America, is it Ruby Bridges who first wanted to go to school? First black girl, they pulled all the children out of school. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying, for example, I was really inspired by that. The school were quite inspirational to allow her to come to... It's not even the right word, to allow her to come to the school, to make that happen and to support and facilitate that. And because she went to that school, and because the educational institution provided that opportunity, it means that other black children can now go to school, and we haven't got segregation anymore and all that stuff. It's all gone. And I really do feel the school was at a pivotal point in that. Now, we're teachers, we're educators. At the moment, we're just following a script. It's all being fired at us. It all has to be done a certain way. We've got boxes to tick. We hate it. And we feel that education is more than that. There's a lot more to the picture. So, I mean, obviously there was a lot of resistance in that case. I don't believe that my book is going to do that. I mean, initially, my book will just go out to the vegan community.
You were upsetting the apple cart.
Yeah.
You were then having to get people who've never been in contact with veganism, who are suddenly going to have to work out how to get nutrition for the suddenly vegan child.
Yeah.
So I would disagree with you.
In an ideal world, I'd like to go into a school, a team of people to go into a school, a willing school. There's already, like the schools in New York who all have vegan catering. There's a school in California, Muse School, who it's all completely vegan.
Really?
At school, outside school, they can do what they want. But on the school grounds, it just lines up with their ethics, and they believe in being nice to each other. They don't want to bully each other. Yet, you know, while we're teaching children that it's okay to, I don't know, go and say, oh, look at the ducks and throw them bread or lettuce or peas, yet then you're going to go and eat a chicken.
Yeah.
We're not showing them the right thing. So we're already instilling prejudices at them at a very young age.
Yes.
And I do believe it's going to be a big upheaval, and it's a big point for people to realise. But I do believe it does need to happen. I don't think my book alone is going to do that. I genuinely believe that regular schools aren't going to be interested in my book. And that's not the target that I'm going to go for at the moment. However, if a vegan child going to a regular school where they don't even know what vegans are, gets hold of my book and reads it, I want them to feel they're not alone. I don't want them to feel like they're prejudiced against. And I want them to realise, I've put some links in there for like Vegan Evan and other...
Sorry, what was that? Vegan
Evan, have you heard of him?
Vegan Evan? No,
yeah,
I haven't.
He's a little boy in America, and he's vegan. He makes lots of videos on YouTube. He's a really cute kid. And he just shows, he's a really healthy looking boy. He shows that you can be vegan, and he shows that families can be supportive of that transition as well, because the family's vegan too.
Vegan Evan, can you write that down for me? We'll link Vegan Evan down below. So we'll take a look at that one. That might be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's great. He's got some great videos. I think he's got an interview with James Aspey somewhere as well.
Do you know something? I think I do recall seeing a flash of when I'm flicking through something. You're right. I'll make sure to take a look at that.
So anyway, I messaged Vegan Evan, and he's replied to me and said he's really excited about the book. I haven't really told him much about it. So, right. Because there isn't any vegan literature. I mean, there's a little bit. I've got a few bits on display behind here. We've got Vivi the Super Vegan by Tina Newman.
Can we have a look at these? Can I grab these?
Yeah, sure, of course. The big one at the back. Yeah, we'll just bring them over here.
Look at that big hands, big shovel hands. So I'll hold them up and let's see if Joe can... is that focused in, Joe?
Oh, beautiful. Lovely.
So if you can just tell me about this one.
Yeah, if you can link in Tina Newman, and the Vivi the Super Vegan is the name of the book. I think she's actually going to introduce a series of them now. It's been so successful. I met her at the Vegan Camp Out last year, and it's just amazing, really. It's a little bit fantasy, and it's quite a lot fantasy. So my book's more realistic and things that children really can do. So that's that. These books are by a different author. This is Eve Louise Davies. This
Marianna's
one's more kind
Milk.
of... Yeah, Marianna's Milk is very much kind of vegan children who want to... I think if their friends don't really understand why they're vegan and why they don't drink milk, I think it's a good book for them to show
Oh, well,
their
that's
friends.
really interesting.
And I think it's good because it's difficult for adults even to explain sometime. Never mind children to explain why they are how they are without getting upset or
And
angry.
flustered. Well, I used to get flustered just explaining why I was vegan when I first started.
Yeah.
No, can I hold this one up?
Yeah,
So,
this one's a bit more... This one could be for anybody because it's about a dog from a rescue. Because
oh,
as we all
Mr.
know...
Whippy's tail.
As we all know, people are sympathetic toward dogs. People are moaning about dogs in China being killed for food, yet they don't realise what's on their own plate. So this is more of a generic audience, this one. However, the others, there's one about milk, one about sheep, and one about eggs. They're very much more about the animal agriculture industry and kind of the journey that the animals
Seren
have to go on
Sheep,
through before they get turned into meat or, eggs. So she's great, and she donates some of her money back towards sanctuaries as well. So I think we need more literature like this. I think that's the problem.
Definitely.
And it's not that I'm going to go to schools and go, you must show your children this book. They all have to read this book. However, I do think that the more teachers get on board and the more head teachers and children realising how much power they've got and speaking to people about this, I think we can get this spoken about in schools.
Definitely.
And I think, you see, the thing is, teachers are worried. They're a little bit scared to say anything. I mean, I know that. I felt that myself. But
Scared in what ways to say anything? I don't get. What do you? So when we were talking online, Ruth, you told me a story that absolutely astounded me, and I don't know whether you want to tell this story or not.
Which
but
one?
it's the one you told me about getting sacked in Spain when you was teaching in Spain, and it's like, wow, you was teaching in Spain, the dream job. Mm-hmm. How the hell did you get sacked?
Right, well, it's quite a long story. Are you ready? So I don't feel I can just
I've got to brew
say...
some biscuits, so I'm cool.
The biscuits are really disappearing very quickly.
That's Joe.
Yeah, so I was living in Spain, absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
The school was amazing, the children were amazing, the colleagues were amazing, like everything was perfect. The weather was amazing. Sorry, it's not here now, but anyway. And so it was around Christmas time. At the time I was working with reception children, so age 4, 5.
Yeah.
And I was actually overseeing 3 classes in my role as manager of the phase. And I'm vegan, and I had been vegan for a few years, and I wasn't really an active vegan at that point, but I was a vegan, and I was starting to think about activism, and it was starting to dawn on me that, okay, it's okay that I'm vegan, but what about everybody else? And I'd heard about things, about statistics, about health, and I was starting to grow concerned for the children as well.
So you wanted to spread the message?
I did, but I knew that it wasn't really the right way to do it from my role as a teacher. I was just a teacher. I wasn't really in a huge managerial position. And obviously, it's still fairly new, all this, and the health statistics are still fairly new.
Yeah.
So I didn't really quite know how to approach it. So what I did is I started compiling a PowerPoint, and I thought, hopefully, maybe I can do some kind of staff training session at some point and speak to the other members of staff and just have a discussion about it. Look, this is some information I've found. Can we have a chat about it? What do you think about it? Let's all go away and do our own research. Let's come back and see if maybe we can implement something into school. So I was kind of sitting on that, and I'd been there for just a few months really, and it was Christmas time. And my teaching assistant, she was lovely. I absolutely loved her to bits. She was great with the children. We had a great relationship. And she said, hey, can we make some gingerbread biscuits for the kids? I was like, that's a brilliant idea. I'd really love to do that. I'll go out and get the stuff, but I hope you don't mind. We'll just substitute the egg for applesauce or banana. And I said, I'm not really sure because I'm not really a baker. I'm a chef. I can cook, but I don't really bake. I said, so tonight I'll go out and get all the bits and I'll do some practice ones and I'll make sure it's all right. And to look at her, you would have thought that I just hit her in the face with a brick. And I didn't really understand why she was so upset. And anyway, I thought, okay, well, right, I'll wow her with my cooking skills. So I dragged in a friend who was kind of sympathetic to my cause, and she's still not vegan yet. You need to go vegan. You know who you are. So she came along with me, and at home that night we stayed up until about midnight just baking gingerbread cookies. Okay. So we did some with banana, we did some with apples. They were amazing. And I was applesauce, not apples, sorry.
So applesauce and banana is a substitute for eggs in bacon, yeah?
Yeah, and you can use chia seeds, flax seeds, all sorts. But yeah, applesauce and banana work really well with kind of sweet stuff. So that's what we were going for. So anyway, I took all the different batches in, all labelled differently, and put them out on the desk and was like, oh, morning, how you doing? I'm all right. It's like, okay, frosty. Never been frosty before. It's warm in Spain. It's sunny. Very frosty out here. So anyway, I said, I've made some gingerbread biscuits. I just thought you could try them. I said, they're probably not as good as yours. I said, but by the time we've perfected it, I said, because you're a real good baker, I said, it'll be right. And she went, and kind of left it on the side. Really? And I thought, okay, and I didn't really know where to put myself. I tried to flatter her. I tried to everything. And I thought, it's that vegan thing, isn't it? It's got to be. And anyway, I looked later, and one of the heads of the gingerbread men had been bitten off, and that was it. And I thought, okay, I ate like 12 of them last night. They were really nice. I don't know what's going on here. And I just left it. And as it happened, we didn't actually have time to make gingerbread men. Things are crazy at Christmas. Like you've got to make calendars and handprints and there's paint and glitter everywhere. And we just didn't get time anyway. So we'd kind of forgotten about it. And anyway, I'd had a regular meeting with my manager because, as I said, I was like the phase leader of that unit. And she asked me how I thought things were going with my team. And I said, things are going really well. I mean, there'd been a few little spats because sometimes it can be that way, behind the scenes. We have some disagreements, but we'd sorted it all out, or at least I felt so. And she said, you really think you've sorted everything out? I said, yeah, everything's quite well at the moment. I just said, something's obviously wrong. Please, will you tell me what's wrong so I can help and I can work towards making it better? She said, well, as it happens, one of your team has complained about you. And I was shocked because we're a really close team and we're always having a laugh.
Yeah.
And this was the only person that I could think of that's complained about me, because we worked really well as a team. The children were really excelling. Everything was really great. And anyway, she said to me it was about these gingerbread cookies, and I just laughed. I just said, what do you mean?
Well, of course you would.
She said, oh, well, you know, I won't say the name, came in, because she really is a lovely lady, and she doesn't really realise, I don't think she realises that she's actually had a hand in this. I really genuinely don't, and I really feel for her, because I really love this lady. And she said, she's complained about you because of these, and I went, my goodness. So when I explained it from my perspective, and my manager seemed to understand. So I said, okay, I said, I'm glad you understand, and we've cleared that up. I said, but I will chat with her and just check, you know, I didn't mean to offend her. That's definitely not the angle I was coming from. And anyway, we didn't have time to make them, so I never really readdressed it again. And I said, well, actually, while I'm here, can I have a chat with you while we're on this subject? I thought, rather than bringing it up later and doing that whole thing again. And I mentioned the PowerPoint and said how I'd really like to just show her, or the head teacher. And she said, oh, no, it's okay. I'll forward it to the head teacher. And let him have a look. I was like, great, thank you so much. And I thought, oh, great, you know, because the school was really progressive, and I really did get that feeling of empathy from the school. You know, they really loved the children, and it really was a fantastic place to be. And anyway, it went to the head teacher, and within a few days I got an email back. And basically the email said that I mustn't speak to children about veganism.
Okay.
Can I just clarify, though, the PowerPoint didn't even mention the word vegan.
Right.
It didn't have anything on animal welfare. It was all statistics, health information, things like, you know, like the Cancer Research UK, how they say that, well, no, they don't say it, it's been proven that dairy is just as bad for people as bacon and sausages. It's on the same level of carcinogen.
Yeah.
So just information like that, say no animal welfare, no pictures of, you know, pigs being hung up by their ankles and all that stuff. Could have easily done that, but I wouldn't do that. It's not the right audience for that. So anyway, the email was very much like, don't speak to your colleagues about this, don't speak to the children about this.
About veganism?
I didn't even say the word vegan, so
Yeah,
even
but
just
what were
about
they
the
telling you
plant-based
not?
diet.
Right, okay.
He said my views were very radical, and he said that he did compare it to religion, and he said that this was my belief, and I shouldn't be speaking it. While I respect your belief, you shouldn't be speaking about
Your
this at school.
cult. That's what you really want to say, your cult.
I think so, yeah. And I did get, I mean, the first week of school when we came in, what greeted us in the staff room was a whole ham hock on the wooden stand, and it was like a whole, it's a leg of a lamb, with a knife there just to carve it off. And he'd even sent an email out to everybody to to let them know. But if you look at the list at school, there was at least 10 vegetarian teachers at the school, so he wasn't really considering their beliefs either, was he?
No.
So anyway, so I got that email, and I was really shocked, because I've never spoken to the children about veganism or even the plant-based diet. I mean, when we all had snack together, I'd eat my snack and they'd eat their snack, and I'd eat a soya yogurt, whereas they'd have maybe like a cow milk yogurt.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't make a deal out of it. I wouldn't even, they haven't got any power to change their diet, so I wouldn't dream of it.
Yeah.
But he never came to me to ask me if I'd done that. But I had spoken to the staff a few times about it, because, like I said, there were already vegetarians there, and we'd, oh, you're having the vegetarian option, I'm having the vegan option. The school catered really well for us. The food was amazing. The chef was fantastic, and he really tried some different foods that were vegan. He even tried tofu, and his first few attempts were a bit, but after that, he got really good at it. It was really great. So kind of my pitch with the PowerPoint was, why can't we just have this vegan option available for everybody?
Yeah.
Because it always was buffet style anyway, so the children could choose whatever they wanted.
Yeah, so you're not asking anything out of the ordinary,
Well, not really, because it was always there anyway, and it would make us feel more included anyway, so we could go with everybody else.
It's just like asking, can we have strawberry jelly, please, as well?
It felt like that for me, but after I read the email, I wrote him an email back saying, I would never do it again, saying, I'm really sorry, I won't talk about it again. I didn't mean to upset the boat, because I'm a single parent.
Well, you wanted to look after your own interests.
I've got to look
course
after
you
my
did,
kid.
yeah.
I loved being in Spain. I loved my team, and I didn't want to lose my job. And
No.
I know that on the international circuit, if your face doesn't fit, they can just make you disappear.
Yeah.
Not in the style of that video that you did. Disappear, as in see you later to another country, not hasta la vista. So I was a little bit, more than a little bit concerned about it. So I spoke to my daughter about it and said, this is what has happened. We can't really speak about this stuff at school. And she's like, well, I don't really speak about it anyway, but people are bullying me all the time. She had people, like other children, who just put chicken in her face on the end of a fork and say, oh, why can't you eat it? And she was really struggling anyway. So from that moment, we didn't talk about it at school at all. Outside of school, only with a couple of really trusted friends, and even then, not very much, because
See,
I wasn't
it's like
sure.
a gagging order, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like
sorry.
she was gagged, she was shut down,
It
and
felt
that
way.
in any other instance, in any other scenario, like race or religion, you get slammed. You'd get tarred and feathered and dragged out of the building. I find that ridiculous. Sorry, go on.
That's exactly. It makes me feel better, because I really felt like I'm a really bad person. Well, how could I even talk about this? And because it was still like I was still learning. I mean, every night I was up till 4 a.m. from the moment I started researching veganism.
I mean, fancy you telling people to stop murdering animals and like abusing them and start having stuff that makes you more healthy and stops you dying early. Fancy you trying to give that to people and save the planet as well.
I know.
You
Did
fool.
robust with the other policies? With all of it? Or were just that? Or did anyone challenge any of them?
Not really. I mean, peanuts were banned in the school.
Maybe not.
There was a
food,
nut allergy. Not really, no.
Uniform, like, was it a strict school?
Not really. Staff could... there was a uniform policy, but it said things like you had to wear closed shoes. I mean, all the staff wore sandals and high heels, and even in the uniform policy, it wasn't allowed. So there's general stuff like that, and I was never observed. Normally, as a teacher, you would be observed at least every half term. Especially as a new member of staff in a management role, you would expect a lot more observation. There wasn't even a lot of that, so I just got the impression it was a very easygoing school, and they trusted each other, and that you could speak to people about things. We went away on a conference in Madrid, and it was amazing. They had these speakers like you would get at TED Talks, so inspirational and motivational, and all of the talks were very much. This was in the October, so all of the talks at the conference were very much like, I remember one speaker specifically saying he was on the phone to his wife, and she said, I can't come home because I'm going to be late because I'm stuck in traffic. And he said to her, but don't you understand, you are the traffic? And it kind of dawned on me, like, we're all those cogs in that motion, and we're the ones, we can say, oh, well, this isn't working, that's not working, but why isn't it working? Because we're not saying anything, we're not doing anything, we're just carrying on with the mundaneness and just oh, well, this will never get fixed, so I'll carry on, And after that especially, it really inspired me. Their conference inspired me to be that person. And then anyway, so that ultimately it was to my detriment. So anyway, I got the email back, and I didn't say anything for quite a long time. And it was April, and April came, and I was depressed. I was sad. My daughter was depressed and sad. We have other things going on as well, obviously. Life is like that anyway. There's always problems, no matter how great the sun's shining. However, this was really bothering us because I really wanted to get into activism now as well, and I really wanted to get involved with some cubes.
A cube, by the way, for those on who don't know what a cube is a square of laptops showing slaughterhouse footage, and then people hovering around, looking at people who were watching the videos and having a quiet word and just talking about veganism. So for those of you who don't know what that is.
I wanted to get involved in those. I'd already opened up a Facebook group, English-speaking vegans living in the area that I was in.
Okay.
And I had about 200 members at that point, so I knew there was a lot of vegans in the area. So I was already running that group, and that felt good to be part of that activism. I was meeting other vegans, so that felt good too. I was organising socials for them. And that felt good too, but it still felt like I needed to do more. So anyway, in April time, it came to a point where I was eating in the canteen as normal. There was a separate staff dining room. And I was sitting, and another member of staff came to sit next to me. And other people would be eating me, and it wasn't really something that agreed with me, but because of the principle of the point, and I wasn't able to do anything else, I felt that other people should see me eating vegan food and see that it's nice. Because a lot of the stereotypical images, as you know, vegans only eat grass and twigs. I never even used to like veg before I was vegan. I was a veg dodger. I'm still a salad dodger, so I need to clarify that.
Okay.
So he sat down and he put this plate down, and it was a chicken, and he went, there's a feather in my chicken. So the inner vegan in me was going, oh just need to say something. It's odd, but I'm not allowed to say anything because I'm going to get fired. And then I just thought, you know what, I don't care anymore. And I just said one sentence, well, it's a chicken, isn't it? What do you expect?
It's a bird.
And then I didn't say, he looked a bit annoyed. Maybe he reported me, I don't know. And then the rest of the table, maybe about 8 people, all went into all these moral debates about veganism and how,
Really?
well, we shouldn't be doing it anyway. Well, I'm eating less meat anyway, and I'm
Wow.
eating less chicken. It probably put him right off even more than the pepper. And it exploded around me. I didn't do anything with it, but I was going to walk away because I didn't want to be implicated. And I thought, no, I'm enjoying this. I'm just going to listen to it, but I'm not going to involve myself. So I
Enjoy
bet,
the show.
exactly. So I'm guessing the teaching assistant that I'd had must have walked by and heard all this, and I don't even know anyway. So the same week that happened, my daughter refused to participate in a group activity. They were trying to do some team building, and it happens in lots of schools. Basically, you're given a chicken's egg. I don't know if you're aware of it. They have to build it a little home, and they have to take it in turns every night looking after it. And they have to look after it for a week, which would have been great as a team building thing, but it's an egg, and we're vegans, and we don't participate in any kind of animal abuse at all. And you might say it's only an egg, but a vegan looking at an egg, we don't say it's only an egg. We know that baby boy chicks are ground up alive at a day old. Or maybe they're suffocated in a plastic bag, or maybe they're drowned. But the boys are superfluous to the industry, so they're not needed. So they're just killed. And that's what we see when we see an egg. We have, in the image in our heads is all these little chicks dropping into the mincer. And my daughter feels the same way too.
I just call it a chicken period that comes out of its ass.
Yeah. I mean,
I
even
try
if
and
you
make it
could-
as horrible looking as possible.
Yeah.
That's just what I say. It's just I just make it
Exactly.
unappealing as possible. You know, when people say steak, I call it cow flesh,
Yeah.
sinew and muscle.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But sorry, I digress.
No,
Go on.
it's okay. Yeah, my family hate me because I don't call it milk. I call it cow nipple juice. It's what it is, isn't it?
I like it. We use that one.
Anything you can do just to stir things, especially
Yeah,
with
yeah.
family who
Yeah,
just want.
definitely.
Anyway, that's another story. So basically, she just lost it in a very polite and calm way. So
Yeah.
I'm told. She just explained exactly why she wouldn't be participating, and she told the teacher all of this,
Yeah.
and she explained exactly why. And that very same week, on the Friday, at 2:00 in the afternoon, after a very busy week, I work with 4-year-olds, you can only imagine, in the hot sun, indoor, outdoor, all the time, and they're all Spanish, and you're trying to get them to speak English all the time, so it's all like, blah, 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 blah. No, English, please, come on. So it was a very busy week. And then I was asked to go to the office to speak to the head teacher. And I thought, oh, great, I've been waiting to speak to the head teacher for ages. Maybe he's thought a little bit more about the PowerPoint, or they were opening a new school. And I thought maybe he wants me to go over to that school and maybe
no
take over the early
suspicion
years
of
department.
anything.
Not at all. So I went in. And as soon as I walked in, there was a big desk. And he was sitting at the desk with his blazer on. And there was another lady who I didn't know sitting there with a stack of papers and a pen, looking very
strange.
official, who I didn't know. And I said, this meeting isn't going to be as great as I thought it would be, is it? And he went, well, we do need to have a chat, Ruth, yes. And I thought, okay, I want somebody to be here with me, please. But he'd picked a time when all of my friends and colleagues were working and stressed
Yeah.
and tired and in the
Very
classrooms.
clever.
So I need somebody here with me. And the only other person that could come was the deputy head. And he was actually a really nice man. And he had, because a lot of the paperwork I was given was in Spanish.
Yeah.
So there was that too. And he speaks Spanish and English. And you could see that he felt uncomfortable as well.
With you.
Not with me, with the situation.
Right. Okay.
Not with the head, just with the situation.
Right.
So the head teacher said, look, I need to tell you that we've got too many staff. And not this year, next year. But the way that things work in Spain, I can't just say to you at the end of the year, I'm sorry, we're not renewing your contract. By the way, I had a 2-year contract and this was my first year in.
Right. Okay.
He said, we can't do that. He said, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to pay you till the end of the year, but you need to leave today. I said, today? He said, yes, actually now. I said, so you want me to leave now and not come back? He said, so the head teacher assured me that I was really good at my job, although at the time it felt like I'd been hit by a brick. Like, I'm being asked to leave, not just at the end of the week, now. So my reply was, okay, if you're going to offer me this money, and if you say this is just the way it has to be in Spain, then I'll work on a voluntary basis until the end of the year, and I appreciate that you're able to pay me until the end of the year, because I have heard about people on international contracts who've just been told to go now and there's no money and you have to leave. It happens, and I was fully prepared for that at any point. If your face doesn't fit, that's it sometimes. But this wasn't the case, and he said, no, according to law, you can't be here once we've stopped this point. You're not even allowed to be in the building. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but a teacher and her children, or his children, you get very close, and
of course
especially
you do,
4-year-olds. You're an extra carer for them. So I love these children, and I wasn't even able to say goodbye to them, and that really hurt. So I said, well, what about my daughter? She goes to the same school. Well, she can stay if she wants. I said, so I'm not going to be able to come here. I'm not going to be able to attend as a parent, but she can stay. I said, I'm taking my daughter right now. So we both left. But I can tell you something. As soon as I left the school, I felt like a massive weight had been lifted.
Right. Yeah.
I was destroyed because I really wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
However, I was now able to speak about what I was passionate about. And I realised that you can't buy that. I didn't know what I was going to do. Anyway, I figured it all out. It wasn't a problem. But the great thing about that, I do have a happy ending for this story, because after that I was able to speak about it, and my colleagues, friends, were just as distraught as I was, and they came to me and they asked me what had happened, and I told them everything, and they were shocked. And one of them recently has contacted me to say that her daughter's gone vegan, so that's really great. And I know lots of them have gone either vegan or vegetarian, or they're at least doing the meat-free Mondays.
Wow.
And a lot of them have contacted me and said, this is because of you, Ruth.
Yeah.
So if it took for me to get fired for that to happen, then for the domino effect to happen as well, for them to be in that position. There's a new head teacher there now, so I'm hoping they might be a bit more liberal, and maybe this can come back into conversation.